Killzone. Shadow Falls. No, Shadow Fall.
Shadowfall.
Okay.
It's not a waterfall. It's a waterfall.
Gotcha. Okay. It's, the first big game for PS4. People are excited to get back into this, well, I guess it's current gen now, but current next gen, whatever you want to call it. And it was shown at E3. It looked really good. It looked colorful. So everybody's like, yay! But is Killzone any good? I'm not even going to call it Shadowfall because I keep forgetting. Anyway, let's talk about the good. I think me and you can agree here. Graphics are pretty much amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Textures, awesome. Models, faces.
So
sharp. And like a marker sharp or whatever those Sharpies. And my favorite thing is definitely the environments. They can go from really bright and beautiful to really dark and scary, and like Chapter 3 looks like a scene from Dead Space. So, to me, definitely by far the best design-wise for any Killzone game.
Yeah, visually it looks really sharp, it looks really clean, the environments are fairly varied, and the lighting and the particle effects are really awesome. I mean, you can really tell it's like, hey, this is next gen, and we're stepping up our graphic engine.
Yep. So I would say that's good. I would also say the game, we'll get more into the negative of this part, but the start of the game from Chapter 2 to 4 is great. It like gets you into this, like you said, Slasher, this James Bond rogue agent feel, and it's pretty cool. I was really digging those 4 chapters, or 3 or 4 chapters. They really got me into the game.
I could even say it kind of almost gave me a original, not the shitty sequel, but the original Perfect Dark. Kind of gave me a little bit of vibes of that too.
I agree. I didn't even think of that shit. So yeah, it's a little like Perfect Dark, the good one, not the shit one for 360. Now this is my portion real fast because I know you didn't play the multiplayer. I personally think as a very solid multiplayer that relies very much on class-based system. Think of more like Team Fortress or, well, that's all I can think of right now. But I hate Team Fortress, and I did not like Killzone 2, and I did not like Killzone 3's multiplayer at all. So when I stepped into this, I thought, I'm not going to like this. It only makes sense. Some reason, I don't know why, I'm really into it. I love switching between support class, assault class, and scout class. It's just really fun. They each have their pros and negatives, and playing as a team when they actually work is just magnificent. Setting up spawn points, going in, ambushing, looks great, feels great, and most of all, and this is, now you can talk more about this, the guns feel really good and smooth in my opinion, and the weight system's gone from Killzone mostly, so it just feels much better in my opinion when I'm shooting people in the face.
Yeah, I really like the gunplay, and one of the key reasons I like it is that it does not have auto-aim, so it was kind of interesting when I first started off, because in a lot of games these days, first-person shooters, you aim at something, you pull the trigger, and it kind of locks on an enemy, and you kind of have to readjust your aim as they move and fire, thus auto-aim. In Killzone, in this one, it is not, and so you can definitely tell. I mean, it's all you in this game when you're shooting, and the responsiveness from the firing of the gun and the aiming feels really good. It can be disjointing at first, kind of like, but once you get the feel of the controller, especially because this is a new system, get the feel of the controller, and you get to feel the gameplay, everything starts to gel together, and the gunplay is actually a really good area that shines in Killzone Shadowfall.
I agree 100%. And that's basically my pros for the game. Do you have anything else?
Well, I also want to say I did really like some of the character models. Some of them look up close, looked fantastic. And the other thing I liked is I really enjoyed the audio logs coming through the controller.
Yes.
That's always a nice little feature. And I also liked the touchpad was okay. I mean, not many games have used it yet. I think actually Killzone's the only one I've played that uses it. And you basically use that to switch to your little AI guy. But I liked him too because you can send him out to distract people, like have him fire people, have him hack turrets, have him do a shield and stuff. And that really came into play when, if enemies were attacking me, I could host a shield up and I could take out people that way. And I found myself being more frustrated at first before initiating my use of him. And once I started incorporating him along with the zip lining and everything else, everything started to gel together. And I really like that aspect of the game as well. So.
I agree, yeah. The Owl, I think his name's Owl. Just great feature. I mean, I didn't even see that shit coming, but anything you can use him for when you said coming to stunning, shooting an enemy, or using the zip line, I think they were all really cool things and definitely can change the battle around in like 1 second. So I loved it.
And the other thing I'd like to point out too that I think I haven't heard many people talk about, but I actually really enjoyed the soundtrack. I thought that the soundtrack was very moody, and I felt that
it was different.
Yeah, it was different. It was moody, and it was actually the game does do a great job at putting in atmosphere in the levels. As we mentioned earlier, that third level. Extremely well done atmosphere. It almost felt like you were playing the Dead Space game in first person. And the whole game has this really good, dark, gritty atmosphere that projects this dire situation or setting that Killzone Shadowfall is in. And so I like the soundtrack, and I think it helps bring the atmosphere along with the graphics. So that's definitely my pros for the game.
Agreed. Basically, I agree with everything you said. We're going to agree here because when we get into the negatives, I think you guys are going to see where we're coming from, kind of why it shifted in the later of the game. And I'm going to just say it right here. The first negative is story and mission structure, in my opinion. After mission 4, 5, especially after 5, mission 6 and onward, they just go to shit.
Yes.
They go to shit, and it's just not fun anymore. It's more annoying to get through the missions. It gets boring. The enemy situations do not change, and it just becomes what we try to avoid these days, a regular run-of-the-mill shooter.
Yes, I completely agree here. I mean, I came into this game not being a Killzone fan, and my initial impressions were really impressed. Definitely impressed. It was just unfortunate that by about, like you said, 5 or 6, something changed, and you started getting very extremely frustrating enemy encounters, overabundance of enemy waves, and just missions that just weren't exciting anymore. And this is kind of a little bit off that topic of the mission structure, but you're an HD game and you've got like the font size of an ant for your mission objectives and stuff. I'm on an HD TV, as we all are with this, and you can barely see that. God forbid that you could play this on a regular TV, you wouldn't be able to read it. It would look like a blurry mess. So that was one thing. I don't know why they put the font so tiny, but back to the mission gameplay style, it just starts lacking, and there's a lack of enemy types, and then they start throwing in more enemy types that are annoying, like these little spider bots, and repeatedly throwing them out. And yes, I know, folks, you could disable them with your owl thing, but they're just annoying as shit. It's a cool enemy in limitation, but when you start throwing those boxes in left and right, when you're trying to dodge other enemies, it just gets annoying. And in a later mission, you're avoiding this thing that can fire rockets at you, and then you've got this crab enemy robots firing at you, and meanwhile you're supposed to run over and pick up something and then insert it into something and shoot it and blow it up. And I'm sorry, but I'm all for multitasking, but this shit was just not fun at all.
It's a pain in the ass. It's not worth it. Like, it's cool to get, that's my main thing for this gen. I love to see so much shit going on at once, but when it becomes annoying, how is that fun? It's not. And that's the problem. It's horribly done and rushed, and they just threw a bunch of shit at you at once to try to confuse you, because they hate us. That's really what it is.
They hate us so much, but the thing is I just think there's just a lack of direction, I think, towards the later half of the game, and kind of overall, because they really tried to throw in multiple different gameplay aspects. Like, in one level, you're kind of doing some platforming. In another level, you're sneaking around. In another level, it's like, where do I go? Because multiple times, you're trying to figure out, how do I even get to a location? It just felt very confusing at times and just misdirected. And I don't think they really... they have a great idea here, and I would love for them to do better for the next one. But here's the biggest turd in this whole game, and it is the free-falling sections.
Oh, big old shit.
Worse. You might as well have taken a crab and thrown it right in a fan so it could blow back in your face, because, oh my god, I'm sorry, whoever decided to create these sections, please don't do that again. The first one was okay. The next one, where you're flying through a city, it tells you to speed up to gain lift, but to hit the air brake to slow down, and I have no fucking clue which way I'm supposed to go, and I think I died about 50 times and wanted to throw a controller. And as Whitey knows here, if I get that frustrated, there's probably a problem.
Dude, just watch Damnation's review, and you'll understand. That's basically Slasher's limit. And this game, I'm pretty sure got close to that limit.
Just for that one section. And I know, folks, one moment can't ruin a whole game. It can. One moment can't ruin an entire game if it's been built up. But the fact that this game basically takes a nosedive either a little bit over the halfway point or 2/3 through the way, it started so strong, and there's such a big contrast from the quality of the beginning of the game to the end of the game, which then puts us right square at there could have been some redemption here if the story amounted to anything, but instead the story ends on amount of jack shit and really is just a very disappointing end to a very disappointing end experience of this game. Yeah, I said it. It's so, you can hear my frustration talking about it, because the problem is I really wanted to like this game, and I really did, and I was like, wow, this is the first Killzone game that I've actually played and gotten into, and that was the first half of the game, and then things collapsed, and I'm frustrated because it disappoints me, because there was something building up here, and I firmly believe that due to the launch and just them having to get this done and out for the launch of the PS4, I very seriously think that affected it. So my hope is that if when they make a sequel, which I'm sure they will, that they obviously they'll have more time, they'll have more time to know what worked, what didn't work, finesse, and hopefully bring out the most coolest, baddest Killzone game ever. That's my hopes. I wanted to love it, folks.
But you didn't.
But I didn't, and I think we agree on that.
I think what the major thing is, and like you said before, is it tries new things, but it keeps some old things, and some of the new things are going to turn some of the fans away. My main problem, like you, is that they put all these new ideas, and alright, that's exciting, but none of them are really used well enough where you're like, oh yeah, Killzone does that really good, you know? When I think of Batman or Assassin's Creed, I'm like, Assassin's Creed, man, climbing buildings, that shit's fun. Batman, that combat is fucking brutal. But when I'm thinking Killzone, I'm thinking nothing, because nothing is special.
Nothing stands out, and like, you know, as I said about the lack of misdirection, there's a segment in the game that you're kind of floating in gravity, and they're like, you need to protect this thing, this carrier or whatever. Well, first off, you're not, as far as you can tell, because normally in the game when you have a weapon, you can see it in front of you.
Yeah.
For some reason in this section you don't, and you just pull the trigger and rockets just fire. I don't know where they're firing from. I have no clue. As far as I know, they're shooting out of my eye sockets, because I don't see a gun in front of me, and I don't know, as far as I know, I'm not in any system. I've never seen myself get in any system or any unit, and if I look down, I can see my feet, which would imply that I'm just in a spacesuit or something. I don't know where the rockets come from, and that's a small, just annoying little thing, but I was really like, where are the rockets? Where are these rockets coming from, and why did I not know I had the rockets? You know, God, I mean, okay, guys, seriously, I really wanted to like the game, and I did like the beginning of it, and it's a good attempt, and it's a fairly decent launch title. To me, it sounds like if you want to play strictly for multiplayer, it's an awesome package, and you should probably look at it as, hey, you get a really awesome multiplayer game, and you get a okay single-player experience when you're not playing online. That's how I would look at it from a positive perspective. Unfortunately,
that's what it is.
Yeah,
is that it's uneven.
Yeah, it's very uneven. It's very uneven, and I think it's great about this, you know, because we both aren't really huge fans of Killzone, and we both jumped into this, you know, with, you know, pretty much zero expectations of it being like a great game or anything like that. And I think it's just funny how we both really enjoyed the beginning, and then we both just freaking hate like it towards the end.
And I assume most reviewers agree with us, as I read reviews from Giant Bomb and IGN, where they say the beginning is really well done, or almost like a tease to what the game could be,
or could have been.
Then what it becomes. And Giant Bomb goes as far as to say the ending is worse than Killzone 3. That's pretty fucking bad. Okay, it's pretty bad. That's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah.
So
it's unfortunate, but.
It is. It's unfortunate, but it is a launch title.
Yes.
If you want to get into the multiplayer to kind of show off the PS4's online, I totally recommend this game. I'm enjoying the shit on it, you know, shit out of it online, not the shit.
Yeah.
The shit. But the
Don't
single
shit
player.
On the PS4. No, he's not saying that.
I'm not going to shit on the PS4, but I think it's almost the opposite of Resistance 1. When Resistance 1 was the launch title for PS3, I thought the single player was awesome. multiplayer. Did it have multiplayer? I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it did, and I fucking hated it. So it's like the opposite. It's almost like a switcheroo, they call it.
Yeah, it's a switcheroo. And if you want to get this simply to show off what the PS4 can do at launch, by all means, do it. It is pretty. My mouth dropped quite a few times. But I think not make a game, no matter how good your graphics are, they don't make the game, and this is a clear-cut case of that. No matter how good this game looks, and it looks damn good at times, really, really does.
Yeah.
That doesn't support the game throughout the way through. It doesn't. It falls apart, and it's a decent first attempt. But Guerrilla Games, we need to see better. We need to see you do a bit more.
I agree. So I know you don't usually give review scores, so if you don't want to give a review score, would you say this is in like the realm of?
I'll give a review score. I'd say.
All right, give it
I'd go for it. Yeah. So I'd actually give Killzone. I'd have to say I'm going to give it a 6.5. It's got great potential. It's got great graphics and fun gunplay, but it just falls apart at the seams. It's like when you have all those great ideas and you don't have the glue to keep them together, and that's how I feel about it overall. So 6.5 for me.
Understandable, and I mostly agree. If I were to break it down to two different games, single player is like maybe a 6, and multiplayer I would give like an 8. So combining that, I'm thinking about 7. So anywhere from 7 to 7.5 is my score, but I'm gonna go with 7 because the single player really it's okay in my opinion to have a bad beginning and it builds up to something great. I wasn't particularly a huge fan of Far Cry 3's beginning, but the ending and just the rest of the experience was phenomenal. This game, and same thing with Tomb Raider, this game, what the fuck happened? You don't want that shitty experience at the end.
Went to reverse.
You can survive through it, but yeah, you don't want that impression on you. However, I did, and I do love the multiplayer. So if you're going for a multiplayer game that you like class and strategy, and please, if you get this game on multiplayer, don't be a dick and just shoot people. There are fucking objectives online. It's really simple. They say it on the fucking screen. Please play as a team. Either way, multiplayer, great. I'm going to go as far as saying great. Single player, I'm going to go as far as saying decent at best.
Decent at best. And we're not lying, guys. I mean, we love the PS4, actually. This is just... Yeah, this is just again, now I was wowed by the graphics, and the beginning was awesome, and then it just... You start seeing through... You start seeing past that as you're playing and seeing how things start to fall apart, and it's just... It's unfortunate, but I have a hope for the future with these guys, and I think if they go this route for Shadowfall 2, if that's what they call it, or whatever they call it, and they go for this more espionage feeling, I think they could really knock it out of the park, because we don't have a lot of games like this, and I will say I really greatly appreciated the fact that its campaign wasn't like Call of Duty or Battlefield that are pretty much narrow corridor shooters for the most part. Set piece, narrow corridor shooting. Yeah, this was open world areas, hubs in some levels, multiple objectives that you could take at your own leisure, and it has some really good ideas, guys. So I'm gonna shut up now.
It does.
Gone on enough.
Okay, yeah. And my last words: if you look, like I said, multiplayer really fun, graphic wise really great, and the beginning is really fun, but the nosedive in the single player is just a huge fuck up in my opinion, and it's a shame. It's really a shame, but it's still solid. Launch time if you're looking for something to play. A couple of months from now for multiplayer, definitely worth it. But if you're looking just for a single player game, honestly, you're gonna find more fun, in my opinion, in like Lego Marvel, maybe Assassin's Creed 4, or even Knack. Yeah. I think has a better single player in terms of just having fun. But of course, for multiplayer, this is a great game. Definitely worth checking out. Everything else, you can just kind of forget about it. But it is better than Killzone 1. That shit sucked.
Yeah.
Worst fucking game on the PS2 in terms of first-person shooter. Not really, but it's really, really bad. I hate that game. I don't know if you played that game.
I did, but we don't talk about that anymore.
Okay, let's not talk. Killzone 2 sucked too, but I'm not going to get
Let's just not. Let's wait for a second, son. Yeah.
What?
Second, son.
I was like, are you? Let's wait a second, son.
No, let's wait for infamous second, son. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Second son will be phenomenal. Okay, it's known. Okay, we're gonna stop talking.